it's most appropriate that I introduce myself in my people's language. So I'm from the Tsimshian Nation of Mique'l, Alaska. And the way that we introduce ourselves isn't just by our names, but it's also by our clans, by our communities, and also by our mother's name because we're matrilineal. So skugod lekski got it tauch showet doayu, uux amity deltwatgo. Lekskigum gispatlot steep telgu, motgum god was noyu. And in my language, I've said that my real names, my Tsimshian name is Skugod Lekskig, and my Tlingit name is Tauch Showet. I'm from Mique'l Dangeli, which is Mique'l, Alaska, and my mother's name, her real name is Motgum God. Her everyday name is Rachel Askren, and my everyday name is Mique'l Dangeli. I'm a doctoral candidate in art history at UBC and an IPinCH Fellow. In very general terms, my area of study is Northwest Coast First Nations dance. And I'm specifically arguing for the work of what I'm referring to as dance artists. So the people that do the work to choreograph new dances, to compose new songs, and who are also dance group leaders. And my interest, the focus of my research within that is the way that they're enacting protocol, which is another, it's the English term, umbrella term that has come to cover a wide range of Indigenous laws. Well, my work builds upon the literature on visual sovereignty that was put forward by Jolene Ricard, who's a Haudenosaunee scholar, as well as Michelle Rahasia, who's a Seneca scholar. And they're specifically looking at the ways that sovereignty is expressed through the practices within visual art and filmmaking. I'm coining for my research the term dancing sovereignty, which is the way that sovereignty is enacted through the use of protocol by Northwest Coast First Nations dancers in their creation of new work and through their collaborations. And I'm very specific in terms of what I mean by protocol and who I'm talking about, because protocol is really stripped of its power through generalization. It's a very, very specific laws that dance artists are enacting within their nation, that they're putting them forward through taking into account the context of the situation, the political demands, and also the purpose and intention of their work. So a simplistic idea of protocol is something that I see enacted in the city quite a bit by people that are trying to express their acknowledgement of being in unceded Coast Salish territory and thanking the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh without Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh representatives there to actually give the welcoming, which allows them to be in the territory. Protocol is about building reciprocal and respectful relationships. And that action of, and sometimes people won't even say the names of the nations. They'll just say, we like to thank the Coast Salish people. They may not even say unceded territory, whose territory we're in. And the use, that very specific, specifying that this territory is unceded and who the nations are that truly own this territory is one of the things that makes protocol powerful when it's enacted thoroughly and specifically. So having a Musqueam, Squamish, or Tsleil-Waututh representative there to do the opening is so that there is a relationship that's being built through protocol. That's why I see an empty practice or a gesture on the part of many people, including the university that I'm from UBC, and now we're going into a time period where the city of Vancouver is going to be adopting protocol for, they say, blessing, acknowledging, and welcoming. And for me, they don't have the right to bless or welcome. That is the right of the people whose lands we are on, whose unceded territory we're in. So those are the issues around protocol, what protocol does when it's enacted by the people who it belongs to, and what they're doing through it. For example, a case study that I look at in my dissertation is I'm studying Wakawiri William Wasden and his composition called the Grease Trail Song. So the Grease Trail is an ancient trade route that goes from his community of Yalis, Alert Bay, down to Tanis Inlet, which is in Moachat territory. And through protocol, he was able to, following protocol, he was able to receive the permission from chiefs on both sides to walk this Grease Trail, which hadn't been walked in over 100 years. And him and 3 of his clan brothers, the Namgis, they, upon walking this Grease Trail, really brought their presence. The land isn't settled through the government, through treaty, but they were enacting their land rights by taking this trail that leads through both territories and acknowledging the true ownership, which is the ownership of the chiefs on both sides. And that walk is embodied, that walking along the Grease Trail is embodied in the dance that he and another one of the people on this journey created for the Grease Trail song. And this oral history is continually reiterated through its performances throughout the Northwest Coast. It's a daily practice of sovereignty. It's something that's a lived experience. It's not confined by Western legal constructs around recognition that other people have to recognize our sovereignty for us to be sovereign. It's about our practice and our recognition of our own sovereignty enacted through protocol. So how I came to this topic is that I've grown up dancing in my community in Mount Mique'l, Alaska from a very young age, and have always had this relationship with dance of knowing its deeper meaning, but as I got older, starting to realize that, not everybody has access to that meaning. So the people that we're dancing for really, I feel that, and I see this in Vancouver, that dance is kind of depoliticized through perception, that people in the audience really aren't as aware of the political statements that are being made through dance and the really deep cultural meaning, of course. And moving to Vancouver, my husband and I started the Get Hayeks, which is a multi-nation dance group, 9 different nations, the majority of which aren't from this territory. So when you're guests in unceded territory representing nations that are not from this territory, it gives you a different relationship through dance to the nations that we're fortunate to be guests within their territory. So we're close with the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, but that relationship has taken a long time to develop, as it should for any of us, Indigenous or not. So that's how I came to the topic, and then of being a choreographer myself, and my husband's a composer, and I felt that being in art history, it's so object or material based, and I really think that the discipline as a whole is missing out on what is intangible cultural heritage, that they're so focused on the tangible. And there's a wealth of knowledge within every decision that these choreographers and composers make that create, whether they're collaborations or songs that that exist primarily within their communities. And when they decide to decide to perform them for the public, or if they decide not to perform them for the public, and it's incredibly complex. And I'm hoping what I'm doing is challenging my field of Northwest Coast art history to see beyond the object and the material that they're overly focused on. I would say the main thing that I'm trying to achieve through my research is to give back to write for audiences that are unaware about the political power of Northwest Coast dance. As I was saying, I feel that viewers tend to depoliticize it as though there's a simple equation. Of course First Nations people are going to dance, that's what they do. But actually there is so much work and training involved to get to that point, and then you have people that are constantly creating new songs and dances. So another form of erasure that happens through perception is that there's an assumption that everything that people are dancing today is old, when in fact the vast majority, especially with our Coast Salish relatives who have very strict protocol around their ceremonial songs and dances, the vast majority is newly created songs and dances, because those songs can't leave their ceremonial context. So then looking at how they're creating these new works and showing the complexity and sophistication of their practice. So how I approach my research, the primary method is one that I call witnessing. Having grown up in our potlatch system, I've been trained as witness to watch closely, to listen closely, and to take those skills into the context of my research, and to be able to reflect upon what I'm witnessing dance groups bringing out in terms of new songs and dances, or what I'm witnessing by sitting with a dance artist who's talking to me about his or her process, and being able to respond the way that we would respond if we were seeing this work within our potlatch. That's one of the main methods. So witnessing conversation or interview, which I know that sometimes there's a different power dynamic there when you say interview versus conversation, so I prefer conversations that I'm having with dance artists. I'm also a photographer, so I take photographs that I gift back, because it's very hard for dance groups and dance group leaders. That's my form of gifting, which is again a reflection of this potlatch sort of methodology that I'm bringing to my research. And then, of course, because I'm a historian, I have to do the archival research as well, if there's archival documentation that exists, which in most cases there's very little, if any. So those are the main types of methodologies. So it's been extremely challenging to be an Indigenous student, Indigenous scholar within the university system, within academia, for many reasons. And I think for me it's primarily because I have lived experience. And so what is challenged about my work sometimes it is so personal. It doesn't just feel personal, it is personal. So when I'm being told by people who are mentoring me through this process that they want to hear from Mique'l, the researcher, not Mique'l, the dancer, it's just soul crushing, because I can't possibly be just one or the other. And as though objectivity really exists, you know, we all know that it's everything we do is subjective, and to have those sorts of ways of being and ways of understanding the world forced upon my Indigenous ways of being, it's been an incredibly emotional journey, and I know that it'll be worth it in the end. And I definitely have felt incredibly oppressed at times. And if I chose to write on, say, classical dance in, courtroom or ball dancing, any sort of dance that has a really long, extensive history of documentation within, European cultures, it wouldn't come down to this. It wouldn't come down to who I am. But because I'm an Indigenous researcher writing about Indigenous dance, I'm the problem. And yet they're excited about my work because I have lived experience. It's being able to do this work for our communities. I mean, that I know that these personal hardships in the end, I think will be minute in comparison to hopefully the positive impact that I can have and the respect that I can bring to, that my work has the potential to bring to these dance artists and to these dance groups, and showing the complexities of their work, and really there's strong, powerful statements about Indigenous rights. I am grateful to have to be an IPinCH Fellow and to be a part of this huge network of researchers in all different fields that are doing incredible work with Indigenous communities. And coming to my topic as somebody with lived experience in terms of our songs and dances, and then writing about the work of people who are not of my nation, so of course I'm going through the same research ethics and different sorts of protocols instituted by the university. But to take my topic out of the dialogue of art history and to bring it into IPinCH, where people are coming from so many different areas, I mean, I can't say enough how much it meant to me for legal scholar Catherine Bell to tell me that she's excited about my work because she's thinking about sovereignty outside of legal frameworks as well, outside of Western legal frameworks, I should say, because ours is a legal framework. But to have that critical feedback and affirmation from people from the wider areas of study who are also very deeply invested in doing good work for our communities has been truly a blessing.